What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with Howard Bender. It is week 6 of the NFL season. Week 6 of the NFL DFS season is also here as well. Howard,
Yes.
how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay. Thanks so much for asking. Yeah, it's been a great week so far. Been very busy. Felt really good about the way everything ran last week. Had a great lineup over on FanDuel. Won me a few $100.
Nice.
Yeah, right. 173.28 was what it was, and it was great. I had my Joe Burrow with my Jamar Chase. Unfortunately, I could have gone higher, but I used Derrick Henry as the comeback on that, and I didn't even do like a full stack for the Bengals there. But little things like we talked about, right? Take the free square with Tucker Kraft because that's what they're giving you, and it paid off, right? Yep. So, had some really nice moments there last week. Very much looking to get back on it. And I'll tell you what, while you and I do what we do here, and we're showing the DraftKings screen, I'm going to build my lineup on FanDuel as we're going along here and just seeing, how we can mix and match and things that might work and might not work.
Sure. And yeah, it was a big week. Obviously, Playbook did well. Dartboard was fantastic. The Darius Slayton play came through for us big time in lineups. Certainly didn't expect the Giants to go out and win that game. But if you played the $4,300 Tyrone Tracy, if you played like the $3,800 Darius Slayton, the Giants were the key to unlocking that slate against Seattle there. So yeah, hopefully we find some similar success this week. And it kicks off at a couple of top matchups here. Top 2 price quarterbacks on DraftKings. Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels going up against each other. Jalen Hurts, CJ Stroud. Hurts getting back both of his number 1 and number 2 receivers in Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown this week. Stroud, obviously, without Nico Collins, who gets Tank Dell back. He is in New England in that game. So top 4 guys. Cover of the playbook is Lamar Jackson. He's going to be super chalky. I don't think that's a bad thing, though. I think you can just kind of eat the Lamar Jackson chalk and look to be different elsewhere. The guy has done nothing but be productive week in, week out. Last week, he did it through the air, 348 and 4 scores, showing that, hey, if I get into a shootout, I can play in a shootout. If not, I can also run the football like we've seen him do in other weeks. So for me, far and away, clearly, Lamar Jackson's my number 1 guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's head and shoulders above the rest in what he's doing right now. It was really kind of interesting because I put the Contrarian Corner video together the other day when I was looking at potential ownership numbers. I thought that Lamar Jackson, because of his price tag, might be a little bit, too much. He's $500 more than Jaden Daniels on DraftKings. He's $800 more on FanDuel, right? You use him on FanDuel, he's $9,500. Yeah. So I thought that price would be a little bit more constrictive and that people would, people would kind of pivot and just use Jaden Daniels more. But apparently everybody's afraid of this defense, this Baltimore defense, which is really kind of funny after it got absolutely lit up by Joe Burrow last week.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Jaden Daniels is Joe Burrow, plays a totally different style of game, but it showed some vulnerabilities for that team, for that defense. So Jaden Daniels now suddenly turning into the contrarian play because people are afraid to use him. Everybody's waiting for that other shoe to drop and what happens. So, I'll kind of look into it, but I mean, in all honesty, I'd rather save a couple of bucks off of Jaden Daniels and go down to like a CJ Stroud on the road in New England or Jordan Love even, on FanDuel, you can use Joe Burrow against those Giants.
Yeah, Joe Burrow for sure on FanDuel. Now, we do have to watch the weather a little bit. At least, we're recording a couple of days out. There is supposed to be some rain over the weekend in the East Coast. So that game being played in New York, we'll have to see if the weather would be prohibitive at all for that spot. But I love Burrow on FanDuel, obviously doing the playbook, included Burrow in there because, DraftKings or FanDuel rather wants to use that Sunday night football game on their main slate this season to, I don't know, add some extra spice. I don't know. They're doing it. It's allowing you to build those late night hammer lineups. And we've taken advantage of that quite a few times for sure. Stroud is interesting. I think I'm more interested in just sort of the dart throw on like a Tank Dell when we get to wide receiver than playing Stroud himself. Not that New England's defense has been great, but like the game flow of that doesn't really feel like Houston's going to have to like put up a bunch of points to win. So,
well, I think that kind of depends on whether or not Joe Mixon is back,
sure.
Because this Cam Akers, Damian Pierce kind of backup situation is not pleasant.
Sure.
Not at all.
So like, yeah, Stroud's like fine. I do like Jalen Hurts. I like the price discount. You're talking Jackson and Daniels, like if you wanted to. Hurts at home. Cleveland, I know their defense is obviously the strong point of that team, but their offense is pretty bad. Could see Philly make some turnovers, get some sacks on Deshaun Watson, short field. And then you're getting Brown and Devonta Smith back for Jalen Hurts, plus the rushing potential that he brings. I think everybody's kind of overlooking Hurts. They're coming off of a bye. They've had extra time to fix whatever issues they've had after losing to Tampa Bay. So I think Hurts is a contrarian play as well in tournaments. But the mid-tier, I think, is super nice. Dak Prescott, 67. Jordan Love at 66. You want to go Goff on the other side or Cousins. I think that whole grouping, and not to intentionally skip Baker Mayfield, but I think that whole 6K range right there, it's a pretty solid spot to build some lineups around.
Well, Baker's got, his issues. I mean, Coop and I have been breaking it down on the Fantasy Alarm Show, talking about what Mike Evans does when he faces the Saints. And the numbers are not good. Like that battle with him and Marshawn Lattimore continues. And so, you're basically eliminating a weapon. Now we hear that Jalen McMillan is supposed to be back, and you've obviously got Chris Godwin, and maybe Cade Otton gets a little uptick in targets here. But yeah, I'm not loving on Baker. I think Dak Prescott's probably the best one out of that group. And I'll tell you what, I think a lot of people look at this 52-point game total, and I think that they think that it's going to be like some Wild West shootout, right? And Goff and Prescott are going to be throwing all willy-nilly over each other. I don't think so. Like Dan Campbell's a run-first guy.
Yeah.
And he's going to utilize Montgomery, and he's going to utilize Jahmyr Gibbs a ton in this matchup because Dallas' defense sucks.
Yeah.
Like they can't stop the run. DeMarcus Lawrence isn't there. Micah Parsons isn't going to play. And so you're looking at a situation where I think with the fact that you'll get that 1-2 punch on the ground from Detroit, they're going to control the pace of the game. They're going to control the flow, and it's going to force Dak into just throwing incessantly to Ceedee Lamb and Jalen Tolbert and a couple of out passes to Rico Dowdle that he's been doing a little bit lately. I think Dak Prescott is in a prime spot here to be throwing the football a ton, and I'm probably going to lock him down as like my mid-tier QB.
Yeah, I mean, you also can't run the ball in Detroit, so like it's just going to force them to have to throw more regardless. Like, no team really runs the ball successfully against them. And Dowell and today Jerry Jones came out and said that they're saving Ezekiel Elliott for the second half of the year. With that's their plan. They understand the wear
Jerry
that he's undertaken, so they're saving him.
He just needs to stop talking. He just needs to shut up.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Jerry just needs to stop.
So Dowell, sure, maybe in the passing game, but I do like Dak, and you're not wrong. Like, Detroit's going to run the ball, both those guys, Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs. That's why I think, if you are stacking this game, you can go with either of those running backs on the other side with the Prescott and a Tolbert or a Ceedee Lamb. I think Jameson Williams would also just be the one guy you'd want to play in this matchup because they take shots down the field with him. He is that big play guy. Sure. And they're not going to only run the football. So there's a chance that they do throw some balls where Jameson Williams can break it out. We saw that in the playoffs last year. Jameson Williams showed up in this game and made one big catch, sure, against them. So, I could see something similar rolling out there. So I like Dak a lot, but Jordan Love for me also home against Arizona could have his full complement of weapons around him too. Like Christian Watson is probably been practicing in a limited fashion, is questionable to play. Romeo Doubs is back. He's got Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft. Is obviously now the number one tight end with Luke Musgrave going on the IR. I think this is a good spot for Love here at the price point. So
at the price point on DraftKings, he's the third highest priced quarterback on FanDuel.
Yeah. That's
third, 8,500.
Yeah.
$200 cheaper than Jaden Daniels. What's the differential between him and Daniels on DraftKings?
1,000.
6,600 versus 7,300.
$700 bucks.
Good. What's that?
$700 bucks.
$700. Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Definitely crazy. I agree. And we take advantage of those opportunities too. When you, we say all the time, right? How to pick your sports book, right? Like find the best line if you can build lines
absolutely
on FanDuel or, Yahoo. Even I always forget that I have like money on Yahoo to play DFS. Like I just like stumble across. I'm like, oh, I got like $25 here. Like, let's see what I can do, like from back in the day. So yeah, you can always check out and try to find the best values of cross platform. So again, I think any of those guys in the 6K tier are fine. You're not going to get 500 yards again from Kirk Cousins, but Carolina's defense has struggled. If you want to play Atlanta, knowing that Bijan's not at 100% still, even though I know you're a Bijan guy, and we'll talk about Bijan in a few. You have Cousins there. Sadly, it looks like Anthony Richardson's going to be the quarterback this week for the Colts. This hurts us for the wide receivers. I would much prefer to see Flacco there. How wary are you on?
I don't even what wide receivers. I mean, it's really kind of funny, right? They actually just listed Michael Pittman and Josh Downs, both as full practice on Friday, but they're both questionable. So very interesting to see what they, how they end up spinning it over there. Like but I don't want to use them. I don't want to use them against Tennessee though, especially with Anthony Richardson.
Well, that's why I agree. I was saying like I would have felt at least a little better about like Flacco or about like a Downs or something like that if it was Flacco throwing the football. Far less encouraged. And the report that came out right before we started recording was that Michael Pittman told the team that he would play through whatever he's dealing with. The team. So I'm thinking that maybe the team was like, all right, if you don't want to play through this, we'll just place you on IR and you'll be out 4 weeks. And now he's all of a sudden back at practice, full practice participation. So I'm curious if there's some other things going on. These diva wide receivers in the NFL, Howard, like sometimes, that stuff happens there. Where are you at Fields? You had a lot of questions in Discord. Are you worried about him being benched?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like why? Like I get that the Raiders are a limited opponent.
Yeah.
But Fields has not looked great. The Steelers are a hot mess, right? Freiermuth is banged up. Mm-hmm. Pickens is a huge pain in the ass right now. I don't even know if Jalen Warren's going to be around. I know that they don't run Najee enough. Some guy named Blumpkin is in the is in the backfield now. Like, how do you? But like I look at this and I look at this in a very similar fashion as Deshaun Watson. You can't trust either one of these guys to finish the game. They might start, but there's no guarantee that either of them finish. Russell Wilson's going to be listed as the QB2. He's put in full practices right now during the week. And, Jameis Winston is now suddenly being discussed a little bit more with regard to Deshaun Watson. Yep. Listen, you can't look at anything injury-wise, right? But if I can't be guaranteed that my quarterback, if he stays healthy, is going to start and finish the game, well, then why am I going to throw money on that? Right. Like, forget player props, forget betting these games, and forget using these guys in DFS. You can't guarantee it. There's one player who I would consider using regardless of who the QB is, and that's Amari Cooper.
Sure.
Because Jameis Winston with this huck it, chuck it type football is perfectly fine. But I can't, and I've said this before. Shout out to Ann Dunn, who's always in our chats and everything. She asked me last night. She was like, before the game, she was like, Justin Fields or Brock Purdy. And I was like, go Brock Purdy, because you can't guarantee me that Justin Fields is going to finish this game.
Yep, I agree with you. The Fields thing, I said, in DFS, if you're making 20 lineups and you want to be the risk factor, right? And a lot of people know the risk factor. Therefore, a lot of people are afraid to play him. I wrote him up in the quarterback coach with sort of the disclaimer, like he is out there playing for his job. And sometimes when guys' feet are put to the fire, you get their best performance. And we just saw his ceiling at 35 fantasy points 2 weeks ago. But Pittsburgh went from 3-0 to 3-2. And if he looks bad in week 3 or week 6, rather, they're ready to go to Russell Wilson to save their season. So just know, where you are when it comes to Fields and what could be and early benching, 2 drives, 3 and outs, like he might not come out for that 3rd drive. So you got going there. Drake May, are you interested at 5K?
No, and I'll tell you what, I'm not going to. I get it that the price is down and whatever, but Drake May, Spencer Rattler, Aiden O'Connell, like there are a lot of QB issues this week. You've got those 3 guys who are all making their starting debuts this week.
Yeah.
Right. You've got Richardson, who could be back from injury, Justin Herbert off of injury and a bye week, Will Levis off of injury and a bye week.
Levis to me is a bit interesting. I was going to ask you about him.
I mean, I like him. I'd throw a dart at Will Levis only because I think that it's just such a soft matchup against the Colts that maybe Brian Callahan kind of fixed what was wrong with him. And I'm okay using Will Levis in that realm, but it's such these are such crazy dart throws. And maybe it's because I have to sit here and listen to Coop and his insane, ridiculous propaganda. I mean, so much so that I put Jalen Polk into a video today talking about, using him as like a dart throw wide receiver.
Yeah.
But quarterback is too important of a position for me to put any kind of trust in Drake May, especially what's that? Is that over under on that game? 36.5?
It's low.
And there's no Ramondre Stevenson either. He's already been ruled out.
Yep. So listen, Coop has been championing the Drake May propaganda since basically the beginning of the season, talking about mobility. And you know what? You got your Twitch classes going on there.
No, man, this is my Stevie Wonder kind of
3 blind mice. Is it?
I'm blind to this ridiculous Drake May propaganda.
Yeah, listen, mobility. I'm not playing Drake May this week either. He was actually my fade of the week in the quarterback coach, Howard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That being said, I did also take the over 2.5 receptions for Jalen Polk on my underdog article this week.
That I don't hate.
13 targets the last 2 weeks, as you put in your video. I was happy that we were a little bit in sync on that. But from the Will Levis front, he is only 4,800. I like teams off bye. I like teams at home off buys. It is a great matchup. Colts aren't stopping anybody throwing the football. So I think Levis said that shoulder's good, right? Like I'm willing to make a lineup here because he is so cheap. And if he gives you the 16 fantasy points like he did against Green Bay, or even like the 13.5 against the Jets at 4,800, like you're probably still good with that. So, I don't mind the Will Levis price, but I'm with you on everybody else. So no, thank you.
You'll love it at Levis.
Running back. Everybody's obviously playing Derrick Henry as well. If you go look at the top rostered players of the week, it is both Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are right up there. I don't know if that's because you're playing both. I mean, you certainly can play both. It hasn't hurt you this season playing both, which is very rare because a running back quarterback correlation in DFS has always largely been a negative, unless it's been like Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey to an extent. But certainly can go there. What are your thoughts on this top group of running backs?
I mean, I love me some Saquon Barkley. I do. I mean, you can't, to me, this offense runs through Barkley. You've got Devonta Smith and AJ Brown, both who are expected back. That's only going to make things easier for Barkley. Him and Henry, perfectly fine. Alvin Kamara going up against Tampa Bay. When you've got Spencer Rattler, I mean, you're going to end up needing, I could just see, amazing checkdowns to Alvin Kamara. And I think that, I'd be fine using any of those 3 guys. But, for me, when I'm looking at the running back position, I'm more in that, Jahmyr Gibbs, I took the prop on him. I took over 12.5 carries.
Wow, that's all that is? 12.5.
I couldn't believe it, right? I couldn't believe it. I was like, what the hell are they saying here? But, he's seen an average of 15 carries per game this season, and they're using him a lot more between the tackles. But I'm all in on David Montgomery. He's my favorite. I love using Montgomery. Everybody's like, "Oh, he can't score a touchdown every game."
Yeah, he can. Yes. Everybody forget what happened there. Jamal Williams 2 years ago led the NFL rushing touchdowns at like 23. And if David Montgomery didn't get hurt last year, I mean, he was pretty on its way close to, 18
He had like
touchdowns.
13 in 13 games or
Yeah.
13 in 12 games or something like
Yeah.
that. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
And he had the infamous where he just let Jahmyr Gibbs score the touchdown against the Chargers. He was like, "Nah, it's okay. I don't need to come in there. You can stay on the field." So he could have had even more.
Like, "Oh, I'm so tired."
Yeah, they did. I think they did rock paper scissors, is what Coop said, to see who would get the touchdown, and Gibbs won. The Kamara news thing on that too is Taysom Hill ruled out. So even better news for Alvin Kamara there, not having to deal with Taysom Hill's two vultures a couple of weeks ago.
That's good for Radler.
Good for Radler as well. You mentioned liking Montgomery. You've done some videos with Bijan Robinson this week. I think it was in your value play video. Gets Carolina. It's obviously the cream of the crop matchup, but
I mean, the price is insane on DraftKings. 6,600. You're never going to see him. He's 8,500 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
You're never going to see him as cheap as you have it right now. And yeah, listen, I said it on the video, right? I mean, Carolina, 26th in DVOA against the run. They give up the 6th most rushing yards per game. They've allowed 9 rushing touchdowns, and they give it the 2nd most fantasy points per game to the running back position. If Zach Robinson can take his head out of his ass for 5 seconds and learn to run the football, like Raheem Morris needs to go in there. You ever see those videos of like the dude who walks around like the bodybuilder conventions and keeps throwing his shoulder into these giant dudes? Like Raheem Morris needs to walk into the coach's office and just throw a shoulder right into Zach Robinson and just be like, run the damn ball. Run it.
I agree with you. Bijan Robinson, the concerning trend is obviously the snap count percentage. Began the year 89, 75, 82. Now the last 2 weeks, 64 and 67%. They doesn't matter who the coaches are.
Well, he's been dealing with the AC joint thing. He's also been dealing with the hamstring thing. So if you've got Tyler Algier, you might as well utilize him to keep Bijan fresh. Now he put in a full practice on Friday, and he is trending towards, obviously playing. I don't know if I think they might have taken him off the injury report completely. So
sure. Yeah. It says practice as full, does not carry an injury designation. So hopeful we get back to the 75 to 80%, because the 60% range is obviously a bit concerning there. Underneath that group, we have Brian Robinson is questionable to play, which could be interesting for Austin Eckler value in this spot as we work our way down. Chuba Hubbard continues to be a monster on the other side of that spot against Atlanta. We know Ramondre Stevenson already ruled out. You got Dobbins, Pollard. Like, where are we going in the mid-range here?
In the mid-range of running backs, one of my absolute favorites is Tony Pollard. Running up against the Colts, they are not a strong team. He's active in the passing game. He's had like 14 targets over his last 3 games.
Yeah.
So I do like Tony Pollard in this one here. They're utilizing him as a full-time running back. They're utilizing like Tajay Spears is like a total afterthought right now. So coming off of the bye, I would definitely be interested in using Tony Pollard. I mean, this Colts defense is like Swiss cheese, man. It just does not perform well at all. So yeah, I mean, Tony Pollard, definitely a guy who I like. I like Chuba Hubbard. I'll always like Chuba Hubbard.
Sure.
Whoever the starting running back is for the Carolina Panthers, like it'll eventually be Jonathan Brooks. But the bottom line is that Dave Canales gives his one guy volume.
Yeah. Yep. No, he's been great. And those who have been holding on to Jonathan Brooks, maybe a great sign of things to come as well, right? As long as Andy Dalton seemingly is a quarterback, that offense has a bit more zip to it. And if they're going to give the value there, I'm in. You have Najee Harris, Sermon again. I'm not really going to play Sermon though, obviously.
I'm not playing Najee ever again.
No,
I'm not. I am not playing a single player from an Arthur Smith offense anymore.
Okay.
Like they were supposed to. I mean, I don't know what the condition of their offensive line is now, but like I get it. They were down a couple of linemen in the game against Dallas, but Dallas can't stop the run at all. and Arthur Smith refused to give Najee like a heavy volume. Like it just made no sense. It was like Arthur Smith was sitting there being like, Dallas can't stop the run. Everybody's going to expect me to run the football, so I'll just pass.
I listen, I agree with you. I don't know why Arthur Smith got an offensive coordinator job and how poorly he managed an offense in Atlanta, though. So.
Every team that hires Arthur Smith gets a major discount on Federal Express.
Yeah, that's probably true. Eckler is there. I don't mind using Eckler in general. Obviously, the price is there it is, $5,600. If B-Rob is out, it's only better, but he's been really good in the role that he's been used in. So, fine with Eckler in that spot. Bucky Irving looks like Rachaad White is not going to play this week. So, finally, your time.
I love that. I mean, it's a tougher run D against the Saints, but listen, for Bucky's price, he doesn't need to do a whole world of things in order to make that happen. But yeah, if Rachaad White is out, it's wheels up for Bucky Irving. I'm definitely in on that.
Yeah, I think I'll scroll up quickly here. I think the last update on where is Rachaad White? There he is. Yeah, doubtful. Listed as doubtful to play.
Doubtful. So, all right, would you go? Because I've got like in FanDuel, I love using a running back in my flex spot.
Yeah.
Would you use Bucky Irving or Austin Eckler? Because those two chuckleheads are the exact same price.
Man, I mean, the game total obviously leans to Eckler, right? Like it's the 51.5. It's the back and forth. Obviously, a tougher matchup running into Baltimore. I might lean Irving. I might go Bucky Irving here.
Interesting.
I mean, DraftKings Eckler gets the lean because it's full PPR, but I might go Bucky Irving in that spot because, I mean, outside of the fumble last week, which didn't help his cause, like he ran the ball really well again. So, if you're not in on Baker and you're not in on Mike Evans, then wouldn't you just trust the running game here?
Sure. Although I tell you what, if I'm building a GPP lineup, probably get some better correlation because it's going to allow me to throw in somebody from the Ravens.
Sure.
Interesting.
Any other value? There's no one down here, right? You're not.
No. We just hit Danny Mendick, so we're good. We can move on.
Yeah. We'll get some McNichols questions if Robinson gets ruled out. I'll just say that now. So
true.
Maybe that would be a conversation to have on Sunday. Wide receivers. Ceedee Lamb is your top priced wide receiver, deservingly so. 8,600 against Detroit. Detroit can't stop the pass. Haven't really done it all season long. So happy to go Ceedee Lamb if you want to go there. Really, I don't think any of these top guys are bad plays. I probably don't play Marvin Harrison Jr. If I was picking one to avoid, what are your thoughts?
Top priced wide receivers. I mean, Lamb is definitely in. I probably won't spend up for Amon-Ra. I probably won't do it because, again, I think that Detroit's happy just running the football. And while Amon-Ra could have himself a rock solid game, am I looking at him being like, oh, this is that game where Amon-Ra, catches 12 passes for 115 yards at a time? No, I just don't necessarily know if that's where I want to be.
Yeah, I mean, game flow will obviously be dependent on that. Like if Dallas and CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Tolbert and Dak Prescott get out to a lead, it's going to force them to change up what they want to do too, right? You're going to need Detroit to control that game for the passing game to kind of take a little bit of a hit there. So, but again, I think any of these guys are really top. Are you worried about Christian Gonzalez now being on Diggs here in New England?
Why would I be worried about Christian Gonzalez? I saw Christian Gonzalez get burnt like a piece of toast in week 2.
I'm just asking. Just people talk about Gonzalez's record against top wide receivers. So
he don't scare me.
Okay. Mid-tier, I like Reed, Godwin. This whole group looks pretty good. I probably won't play Olave, knowing Rattler's the quarterback there. But if you want to go down from Reed to Tank Dell, even, I think I'd be in on all of those guys.
Okay, I can dig that.
Any outs for you, or you agree?
No, I don't think any outs for me. I mean, if we're looking down in that mid tier, I love Jaden. Where are you going?
Sorry.
Where are you scrolling?
Sorry.
I love Jay. No, you don't go back to the list. Thank you. There we go. You don't have to. These are just. I just want to go through the guys who I think I like the most out
Okay.
of this tier. Jaden Reed and Chris Godwin for sure. Godwin definitely, considering with Mike Evans in that situation. I could get busy with a little Devonta Smith as well. Zay Flowers, I love. I love Zay Flowers. I want to see if I can get Zay Flowers, into my lineup. Obviously, Benjamin St. Just just how horrible that secondary is. It's just absolutely atrocious. So I would do that. I would also use McLaurin in that matchup. And then, obviously Tank Dell. When you're looking at Tank Dell going up against, New England, Stephon Diggs will be on, we'll worry about Christian Gonzalez, and Tank Dell kind of sit in there. I think the Patriots are using a ton of zone coverage, right?
Yeah, they play a lot of zone. So and obviously they have quicker corners, but still I'm bullish on Tank Dell here at 62. I honestly wish he was a little bit cheaper. The injury to Nico, knowing that he wasn't going to play, kind of bumped up the pricing on him. But Deontay Johnson 61. You mentioned already just liking Amari Cooper as a catch-all regardless of quarterback at 6K. I mentioned already liking Jameson Williams. 5,800 feels a great tournament play. Just seeing 70, 50, and 52-yard catches on his ledger here this year. So if you are stacking Dallas, want to go somewhere else in the back end, Jameson Williams.
I mean, I hear that Deron Bland is supposed to play, but I mean, I'd be more into using Jameson Williams. Gesundheit.
Thank you.
I would be more into using Jameson Williams with Deron Bland on the field because he is not at 100%.
Sure. Yep,
So
I agree
with
you.
Okay there. I'm okay there.
We mentioned Levis at 48. Calvin Ridley's there at 57. I know it wasn't a great last couple of weeks for Calvin Ridley, but the first 2 weeks were good. So maybe if they have resolved some of the issues there, you got him. And you got DeAndre Hopkins down here at 51. I mean, you're going to obviously stack one of the two wide receivers with the Levis if you play that route. So, they're both in good spots. Our guy Darnell Mooney, $5,300 keeps
off the injury report. That was good to see.
Underpriced. I had 16 targets and he's only $5,300. So, what else we like in here?
I mean, I could definitely get down with Pierce. If you're looking for just a GPP dart throw there, there's not a whole lot. I'm off of Shaheed just because I don't know about Radler. Oh, you just showed Jalen Tolbert. Obviously, somebody you want to possibly take a look at here.
Probably very popular this week.
Tolbert, yeah. Well, that's the question. When we look at Dallas. If you wanted to stack and you go Dak with Ceedee Lamb, do you think Tolbert or Ferguson is going to be the more higher owned?
Probably Tolbert, I think, because people will flock back to Tucker Kraft at tight end.
Okay.
I also in the dartboard list, I have Devontae Turpin down there as well. We saw him
Turpin
get on the field, and he's down here at 3,800. So there's you could take some darts there, and the 5'9" burner and Devontae Turpin if you wanted to.
The 5'9" burner.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's 5'9". So there's some guys down here for some value that I think we might be able to hit. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that there is some good value. I would love to see, I'll tell you what, right? I mean, I hate Jerry Jeudy, but I would love to see I'd love to see Jameis Winston in there, working with Jerry Jeudy.
Right.
Tolbert, Jeudy. I'm not interested in Padonkadonk because of that, Patrick Surtain group.
Mm-hmm.
I think Trey Tucker might be an interesting option. I do like Rashad Bateman also as a possibility here, especially if you want to get a slice of that Baltimore game.
Yeah, I like that. I like the Bateman call. Who's the number 2 wide receiver in Washington? Do we know? Is it Noah Brown?
Who is the number 2 wide receiver in Washington?
Noah Brown had a couple of good weeks. Then he missed a week with an injury, but now he's not on the injury report. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe some Noah Brown as the wide. I mean, we saw what he did last year, right? In Houston when needed to step up and be a guy for a few weeks here. So, and then Jalen Polk's 36 if you wanted to trust any of the New England guys.
Jalen Polk. I was waiting for you to pull his name out. I mean, listen, I don't mind Jalen Polk is like if you're just doing like a GPP dart throw.
Yeah. The
like,
targets are there, right? Like
the targets have been there.
So, all right, tight end.
Wow, he's 4,700 on.
That's cheap over there, right?
That's super cheap.
4,700. 45, like the end of starters, basically on FanDuel, right?
Oh my God, what does that open? Oh, it still doesn't open up Zay Flowers in my lineup. I'm struggling with this lineup, Johnny.
I'm sure you'll figure it out. I have faith.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm having issues.
We'll put it together for us here. Your top price tight end is Bowers. Aiden O'Connell is now the quarterback. I don't know if that does anything for you. Is there a difference between Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew to you?
No, I don't. That's the funny thing is like of all these like new QBs. I think it's a lateral move for any Raiders pass catchers. I don't think Aiden O'Connell is any different, any better, or any worse, than what we're seeing here. So yep. I'm okay with, I'm definitely okay with Bowers.
Yep, I agree with you. Obviously, then you have, the top guys, McBride, Laporta. You're not going to play Goddard anymore with the wide receivers back, but we have Ferguson and Kraft. I said Kraft because, I think people go back to Green Bay and he's cheaper, right? He's 4,800. Ferguson's 5K, so take the discount. Take the guy that's been hot. I like Ferguson in cash games this week just because he's just always that safety blanket for, for Dak Prescott there. But, Kraft coming off the 2 scores, the matchup against Arizona. I think that's fine. I'm not chasing likely touchdowns.
Why, John? Why?
I'm actually more likely to play Mark Andrews, I think, at 3,900.
Right? At 2% ownership? Yes, yeah. Thank you.
Like, why? He almost scored last week. He got tackled at the 2. If he scored, no one's even talking about the fact that Charlie Kohler had 2 and likely had 2, right? So
Charlie only had 1, but
Charlie had 1.
It was a 2-yard touchdown that should have gone back to Andrews.
Should have gone to Andrews. Yeah, he got tackled at 2. So I actually don't mind Mark Andrews at the price this week because I mean, I don't know. He looked less broken last week than he did any of the other weeks, right? So
he looked less broken.
What was his snap count last week? We'll pull it up right here. Snap count last week, 55%. This is he played only 33 and 46 the 2 weeks prior, so we got an increase in snap count usage. For Mark Andrews, why not? Throw him a dart, $3,900. We've liked Otten lately. Would you go back to the Cade Ottenwell?
Well, again, yeah, I think that the Saints kind of struggle a little bit against the tight end in coverage, and with the potential of Mike Evans just not doing Mike Evans like things, it's definitely a possibility.
You mentioned Chigakonkwo in your value article this week, $3,300.
I did. I like Chig.
What about Chigakonkwo here?
I mean, listen, I just think that he's in a really nice spot. You're talking about the Colts who are giving up. I don't even remember how many the second most fantasy points per game to the tight end position. They're just not it's not a good defense. It's not a good defense. Yeah. And I think again, what my hope is that this bye week for Tennessee has enabled Will Levis and Brian Callahan to really sit down and kind of, fix what's been the problem. Like you had them at like an, excuse me, an 82% completion rate during the preseason. Why didn't that not translate into the actual games? What was it that prevented that from happening? And now that we get like the break and whatever, now we can kind of analyze it. So I do like it. I do hope so.
Any other tight ends for you here this week?
I like Ertz.
Okay.
I do. I think Zach Ertz is in a good spot. I also like Dalton Schultz. I don't mind him, depending on what Kyle Duggar's situation is. Sure. If Kyle Duggar is out, then I like Dalton Schultz even more so.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of like this. I like this whole group. I think it's a stable. It's stable. It's nothing eye popping, but it's good.
Last week we just kind of agreed that we wanted to go with the Denver Broncos, and that obviously worked out well for us here.
Yes.
Broncos are only 3,200 this time around, home against the Chargers. I kind of still feel the same way about the Broncos defense. Like, they're looking pretty legit. I haven't seen anything from the Chargers that make me think that they're a real offense to worry too much about. So I've been just plugging a lot of Denver Broncos. They're not 2,900, they're 32, but still plenty good for me. What are your thoughts on defense this week?
Which is really funny because they are the 4th most expensive defense on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Which is great. Throw me the Tennessee Titans against either Joe Flacco or Anthony Richardson.
Home off a bye. I like it.
Yeah, coming off the bye, playing at home. If it is Anthony Richardson, he makes mistakes. So I think Tennessee is in a really nice spot. And that actually brings me some nice correlation to use Tony Pollard and the Titans defense.
Sure.
Because they correlate together with each other, and I don't have to worry about anybody from Indy coming back.
Okay. We usually make a lineup. Now, you said you have a FanDuel lineup?
Dude, I got a crazy fit. Should I share my screen here?
You can.
I don't want to.
Okay.
All right, here's my FanDuel lineup because I don't think this is going to fit as far as this goes. But let me just have a look. See, I'll tell you what. Let's start building yours, and then I'll screenshot this one for you.
Okay. Like I said, I'm just starting with the Broncos defense. Where's I just said their price. There we go. I actually kind of like the double stack there, going with Lamb, and going down with Tolbert.
Why do I keep hitting the wrong fucking button? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to swear.
You're swearing on the show.
I didn't mean it.
Prescott, obviously here. Jamison Williams was the comeback. Tight end.
What'd you got? You got Dak and you got Williams as the comeback. You're not even going to use a running back from Detroit.
I told you. I think that the Dallas offense is going to put the pressure on Detroit to throw the football. I just think that's the way that's the way they're going to go. I'm doing the homer play. I'm playing Jalen Polk here at $3,600.
I got him in mine also because you're a dirty boy.
All right, we'll do. I'll do a full stat with you. I'll play Montgomery and $5,800. We'll go Eckler here. Bucky Irving rather. We'll go Bucky Irving. So we got Prescott, Montgomery, Irving, Tolbert, Lamb, Williams, Kraft, Polk, and the Broncos D. So we got a full stack here of Detroit, Dallas, with Irving, Kraft, Polk, and the Broncos defense there.
Okay. All right. Well, then here, let me. Is that it? Have you announced this is that?
This is the line.
All right. Stop sharing your screen for a quick sec.
All righty. 1 sec here. Where's the button? There we go. We're back.
Let's see. Ooh. Oh. It's over there. You got it? All right. Look at that. Dak Prescott, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, Ceedee Lamb, Zay Flowers, Jalen Polk, Jake Ferguson. So I got a full stack for Dallas with Montgomery coming back. I got some Zay Flowers, Zach Ertz, 2 tight end set there for some correlation coming back on that one. Titans defense. Yeah, this is the squad, baby.
I like it. Double tight ends, huh?
Double tight end. I mean, listen, here's the funny thing is that there's a lot of flexibility in this lineup. If I paid down from Zay Flowers, then I could go either Ferguson or Jalen Tolbert,
sure,
as the third part of that stack, and still have some really good maneuverability here with my flex and my last wide receiver. So right, there is some movement there. It's definitely a possibility.
I like it. So that's what we got for everybody here this week. Again, make sure you go check out all of the DFS content that's out on site. You got Benner's watch list. We got all the coaches. We got the playbook. We got the dartboard. We got the Contrarian and Bargains videos over on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube page. Bender and Coop will be live on SiriusXM from 10 to 11 on Sunday. Then myself and Coop will be live right here on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel from 11 to 12 to get you all ready for Week 6. If you're not yet a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, you can get all of our content right now for free for 7 days. You can scan the QR code there, fantasyalarm.com/win. If you use promo code Let's Go, your first month after that 7-day free trial is just $19.98. So go check out, get access to all of our premium content, not just NFL, but all other sports. Hockey is going underway. We still got MLB playoffs going on here. So plenty of DFS still starting up. And of course, NBA, Howard, just a few weeks away. So we got a lot of stuff in the first month there. You get that for less than $20. So check us out. Scan the QR code, fantasyalarm.com/win. Promo code Let's Go. Bender, it's been a pleasure. To everybody else, good luck in Week 6. Get in that Discord. Follow us everywhere. We'll catch you later.